Y'all, today has been one of those days. The toddler was having meltdown after meltdown. The baby only wanted to be held, and we're potty training the toddler. So that's been a mess. So I just needed to get out of the house, even though it's literally still 100 degrees outside. So I'm going for a walk, clearing my head, getting away from crying, and I thought I'd hop on and share another idea for your virtual lessons that you're doing for math. So this idea is super easy to implement. I call them challenge problems, and in person, this is what I would use as like a bell ringer. So whenever my class would come in for math, I'd have a problem posted up on the board, and they would get out their whiteboards and dry erase markers, and I'd give them 5 minutes to try to solve it. And then we'd share out. It's been like, I don't know, maybe another 5 minutes sharing out. So I would use this as, I probably wouldn't do it every day virtually, just because I think they'd get a little fatigued. It's not quite as exciting when they're not with their peers in person. But it's a really easy way to get some rigorous word problems in a setting that's still kind of fun and engaging for the kids. I keep having to change where I'm walking because it seems like everybody is out tonight, and I'm still trying to socially distance, especially without a mask on. Anyway, challenge problems. One of the things that I love about this is the fact that it's a very low pressure setting for kids to be able to take risks. So I call it a challenge problem intentionally. I don't call it a problem of the day, because when the kids see it as a challenge, for my higher kids, it really pushes them. They want to try to figure it out because it's a challenge. And for my struggling kids, they feel a little bit safer taking a risk because it's okay if they don't get the answer because it's challenging. And in fact, I tell them that it's supposed to be hard. So it really encourages that risk-taking in math for all the kids. So they have 5 minutes to work the problem out and try to solve it. And then when the 5 minutes are up, I call on kids to share out. So when it's in person, I'm walking around and I can see who got it right. So I'll pick somebody that I know got the right answer to share first. That's a little bit harder virtually. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do that yet. But the first kid will share out what they got for the answer, and then the most important part is they have to tell us how they got their answer. And I will write up on the board what they're telling me that they did. So if they drew a picture, they have to describe it, and I'm drawing it up there. I would use like a virtual whiteboard in our WebEx to do this virtually. I want them to verbalize their process. I don't want them to just show me a picture of their work. I want them to be able to explain it in their own words. And now it's starting to get dark, so I'm gonna hurry this up. So the real magic of the challenge problems is that I call on usually 3 or 4 or 5 different kids to share different ways that they solved it. So it's like, okay, great, yeah, you got the right answer. Now, who did it a different way? And then they'll share their way. Cool, who did it another way? Can anybody think of a different way to solve this? And I'm writing all that up on the board so they are seeing all of this. And I will also write an equation to go with what they're telling me that they did. That's a great way to kind of pre-teach equations before you even get to it. As the year goes on, they will anticipate that I'm going to call on lots of different ways to solve it. So they try to be really creative, especially my higher kids, really try to think of a way that nobody else will have thought of. So the last thing is where I get the challenge problems from. I grab a lot of them from old state tests. So I teach in Texas. I pull up old STAR tests and find the problems that were really difficult for kids. I usually, the first semester, focus on problems that are multi-step with the 4 operations, even if we haven't done division or multi-digit multiplication yet. Again, it's a challenge, and it's always interesting to see what ways they come up with when they don't have the algorithm yet. I also will pull problems from old unit tests that kids had trouble with, or problems from their warm-up that are difficult for kids. and I will retype them or whatever and display them. So I would probably type them up in a Google slide and then put it up to share my screen that way. All right, and I'm making it back home just as it's getting dark, and hopefully my saint of a husband has everyone asleep and the crying has stopped. Fingers crossed. Either way, I feel a lot better after my walk.